Hello. Let me there we go. Perfect. Now the screen switched. Thank you for joining us today. We'll now begin with an opening statement from Coach Courtney Banghart with the North Carolina Tar Heels. For the media joining us, use the raise hand function to indicate when you'd like to ask a question. Please remember to state your name and affiliation first before asking your question. Coach, please give us a brief opening statement and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, I feel for those kids. They've done so much to make this year happen. As I told them in the locker room, they opted in all year long, not once, but every single day, to abide by the standard and honestly to create the standard for Carolina basketball. Our seniors, what can you say about how they gave it out on their senior night in the tournament? And so they have brought Carolina back to where it belongs, and it's on us to continue to build on this tradition so that this stays longer moving forward. But thanks to everybody at the NCAA and the WBCA and everybody for making this year happen, because I know it was not easy, and we're sure glad we opted in.
Our first question comes from Noah Monroe. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Coach Banghart, Noah Monroe from the Daily Tar Heels. So you were able to coach Janelle Bailey for 2 seasons and Stephanie Watts and Petra for 1 season, respectively. Just what made them such great players to be able to coach?
They're all really different, right? And so if I start with Janelle, who you started with, she's had such a career of growth. She's one of the more elite competitors that you'll find, and sometimes that hurts her. And I think she's really figured out how to curtail her competitiveness for the good of the group. She stuck with it when it was hard, and being able for her to be here in her senior year in the dance is a big deal. So for her, it's growth and competitiveness that I'll always value. And then Steph Watts. I think how she embraced hard, with how her year started, because she was finally healthy, and it takes a while to get going again. She just showed such class all year long. She's adored by her teammates because it's not about Steph Watts. It's about Carolina. It always has been. And so I just thanked her for giving me a chance and coming back, because we're just gonna work really hard to find Steph Wattses out there that love Carolina, that care about the tradition, and that fight like she fights, even when it's hard for her. So I'll value Watts's trust. I'll celebrate her love for Carolina, and I'll forever admire how she handles hard with such grace and such class. And then Petra, she came in to fill a hole, and we knew we needed some guy that could come and make shots. And this is her first. She came to Carolina and said, "Coach, I just want to go to the NCAA tournament. I've never been." And I said, "Well, we got a lot of young guys and a lot of new faces, but you'll get my best. Will you give me yours?" And she said, "I will." And she's done that. And so, you don't get to the NCAA tournament without really good seniors, and I'm really proud of mine today.
Our next question comes from Mitchell Northam. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Yeah, Coach Mitchell Northam with WUNC and the Next. I just wanted to ask you about your young guys, Alyssa and Deja. This was a big stage for them. At times they played well. At times, the shot wasn't always falling. What did you think of them today? And I guess how important was just getting this game in and being on the stage for them going forward?
It was critical. We can thank obviously Watts and Bailey and Petra for doing that for us and for this program, because we need these young guys on this stage. They need to figure out how to be big in big moments, and they have been during the year. But the NCAA tournament, as you know, is totally different. So they obviously, I think the result in the journey of the NCAA tournament, it drives you in the off season. I've been in these a lot, and it really drives your off season. And I can assure you that our young guys are gonna put the work in that will ensure that they're even more prepared individually the next time they get this chance, because they don't come by easy, and I don't think any of them played the way that they had wanted, and that's okay. They're young, but they didn't play well enough to help us win the game. So we'll make sure that they stay focused on the next step of their journey.
Our next question comes from R.L. Bynum. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Coach, what about the Stephanie Watts game today? And she seemed to have that look that she wasn't going to be stopped today. She did so many things, 3 blocks, all the 3-pointers and everything. Could you tell before the game that she had that kind of mentality coming in?
She's kind of a tough read, because she's all she's so competitive in a way that drives her, and so am I. So we sort of meet there. We sort of meet straightforward. I knew there was no way that Steph Watts was gonna come back to Carolina, do everything she could to get this team back to the NCAA tournament, and then lay an egg. That was never in the thought, and it was just. It was never a worry. I didn't have to worry. So in a way, I didn't actually even have to coach Steph Watts today. That's sort of what we expected and what we knew we'd get. She's gotten so much better defensively since the Steph Watts I got. She's figured out how to use her motor to understand angles in a way that she's much more pro-ready. And that was one of the things I talked to her about when she came back. I wanted her to be pro-ready. And her ability to guard not only on the ball but off the ball with her length. I think she showed that today, that she's a better defensive player for the pros, and that will help her stock. And then offensively, she's just a gift. So that's something that we've been seeing all year. But yeah, I'm really happy for Steph. It's such an easy story to celebrate, and such a story that could have gone so many other ways. And her and I just stayed laser focused on this story was going to end the right way, and it has for her. I'm really happy for her.
Our next question comes from JB Ricks. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Coach. JB Ricks from Spectrum News 1. Congratulations on a great season. My question is more game specific in regards to, do you think was the first quarter the difference? Because it seemed like you guys played pretty even with them through the second and fourth quarters, or was it Jordan Lewis's impact which which was more of a difference in the game?
Yeah, I think that was option B. Jordan Lewis was a woman amongst children, it looked like at times. They really affected us by getting into the paint with the dribble. We're not elite at guarding the ball yet, athletically. We don't have always the speed or the length that we need to do that really well. Obviously, Watts is not included in that statement. And so we knew against a team that was really going to push it down our throats, that was going to be a little bit of a problem for us. And that's why we had to mix up our defenses a little bit. And so we were just okay. We were just okay at that. And they punish you in too many ways if you're just okay at that. So Jordan Lewis was a problem, and hats off to her. She had a great night, and as a result, her team is advanced.
Our next question comes from Lawrence Davis. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Coach B, great season, by the way. This is your first experience to, as your team, to experience the postseason. So can you talk about what you learned about your team and describe the foundation that was laid this season to be able to provide success moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the postseason is a culmination of such a long journey, and that's where, I basically had to cut my comments to the team short, so I didn't want to get emotional for them, so I can instead help them through their emotions. But it's just a long season, and we've been at this since July, and with very little breaks, because obviously the pandemic didn't allow for that. And you get to know these kids in a way that is really intimate. It's really important, and they mean a lot to you. And then you have to look at them and say, oh gosh, it's over. So I think the culmination, what makes the tournament so special is it's a culmination of such an important journey, and then it's survive and advance, and everything else is out the window. And so, of course, the more times you can get here, the better. And the fact that we've got some experience now in this tournament with people that actually played in it is critical. And I'll always thank our seniors for doing that. But it's not easy to win in March. It's not like, oh, we've been here before, so next year we're definitely going to win. It's not easy to get here. That's the first problem. And then it's not easy to win when you're here. So it's just every year is a unique journey. And we will work very hard to make sure that next year's journey is the same in terms of dancing. And then we go further, knowing full well there's no guarantees.
Our next question comes from, and forgive me if I pronounce your name, Tumasi. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Chimasi Dunas here. How are you satisfied with the freshmen and the potential that they showed to be leaders on the team going forward?
I think a lot of things. I mean, obviously, I'm really excited about the freshmen, in part because to be a leader, you have to first be a follower. And I think they have followed the lead of our older guys really well. They've been spoken to directly. They've been treated with truth. They've been pushed. They've had to grow. They've had to show courage because they've had to grow in front of everybody's eyes. And that's not easy to do, especially with urgent seniors that are living their athletic mortality, right? So we're really excited about them. They've been what we've needed all year long. And there were many times today where we had 3 freshmen on the court at one time, and that's a big stage for them. And so, you usually in life experience pays off, and we will work very hard to make sure that that's the case. But yeah, our freshmen, I could talk forever on them, but the NCAA tournament is really about your seniors.
We have time for one more question, and the last one will go to Mitchell Northam. Unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Yeah, Coach. Just sort of looking ahead just a little bit. You have 5 freshmen on this team, 2 sophomores. ESPN says you have 4 top 20 recruits coming in. I know you've talked before about how you didn't really get a real offseason with the group that you have now. So considering that, how important is this upcoming offseason going to be in terms of just, continuing what you've kind of already started this year and making your first tournament, making sure that Carolina stays consistently up there in women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's worse than potential that's unrealized, right? And so, I think that the expectation is that that to get better, you put the work in, and not the work you like to do, but the work that will get you better. And that's for freshmen. Part of it is the physicality of the game. So they need to be pushed, and they need to fail in the weight room a little bit, right? They need that kind of that strength and the mental strength that comes from that, and then the skill work. Alyssa's really got to become a knockdown 3-point shooter that's really dangerous from there, and her handle has to get better, right? Deja's got to continue to add shots to her bag, and you can go right down the list of the people that they have to get better. And so the offseason's always important. Obviously, the sophomores from this past year didn't have it, so Lou didn't have any sort of offseason. We're really excited to develop her as well, and that's why we coach, right? To watch Watts' journey this year. I only got her for 1 year, but it was a year that mattered because we shared it, right? And so now I get an offseason with these younger guys to really, ensure that next year's is rewarding as well. But yeah, you're exactly right, Mitchell. The offseason is a critical part that gets no celebration. You do it when the lights aren't on, but you do it in the right way so that when the lights are on, you don't have this moment after the first game.
Coach, thank you for your time today. Congratulations on a great season, and look forward to seeing you here next year.
I appreciate it. Hope to be. Thanks.
We'll next hear from student athlete Stephanie Watts. If you'd like to ask her a question, please use the raise hand function now. Our first question comes from Noah Monroe. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Stephanie. Noah Monroe from the Daily Tar Heel. You were able to finish out your college career at UNC. What did that mean to you? And just, if you can, what was your favorite memory from UNC?
Man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad Coach Banghart trusted me enough. We talked about it. I got back here, and I'm just blessed to be here and bring my team back to the tournament. But my favorite overall moment as a Tar Heel was probably beating #1 Notre Dame. Me and JB talk about that a lot, and that was just one of our favorite moments together, playing together. So.
Our next question comes from Lawrence Davis. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Steph. When you turned back to Carolina, I know that you knew that the program was in a rebuilding stage. So can you kind of talk about how you've personally have led this rebuilding stage and have been able to kind of teach the freshmen and kind of be able to provide some wisdom for them?
I think that was my biggest thing, just coming here and getting Carolina back on track. And I knew we had some really, really talented freshmen, and I was just excited to be a part of this and help them along the way because I know how much potential they have. And like Coach said, unrealized potential is the worst kind, and I think that they were able to show what they could do this year and how they could get even better. But I think every day I just bring to practice a light to everybody and just trying to bring everybody up and bring everybody along with me. So.
Again, if you have any questions for Stephanie Watts, please use your raise hand function now to ask your question. Our next question comes from Mark Armstrong. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Stephanie, you guys were scoring enough at the end to make up the difference, but you couldn't get the stops. Was that just a credit to how well Alabama was playing offense?
Yeah, like Coach said, we really just need to work on our on-ball defending. That was a problem today. In Alabama, it's March, nothing's easy. So I give credit to Alabama for, being able to convert on our lack of on-ball presence. So.
Our next question comes from R.L. Bynum. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Stephanie, congratulations on the big game. You waited 6 years to finally play an NCAA tournament game. It looked like you had that determination coming in. What was your mentality coming in? I mean, 3 blocks, all the 3-pointers, all the points?
I think my mentality was, I just want to bring that tradition back to Carolina. I'm going to do whatever I can to win this ball game, and obviously we came up short, but my mentality was just I'm going to leave it all out there. This is my last game in a Carolina uniform, which, means a lot to me. So I just wanted to leave it out there and lay the foundation for what the freshmen need to do to get further than this in the future.
Our next question comes from Mitchell. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Yeah, Stephanie, I was just kind of curious, what's next for you? Are you planning on entering the draft or pursuing something overseas or something else? What's the next step for you?
The plan is to enter the draft, and I'll go from there. But
our next question comes from Tumasi. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Steph. Even though it was, of course, a tough result, it was still a great game for you guys out there. In the first quarter, you guys were struggling with keeping up with the pace, and perhaps in the second quarter onward, you slowed down and became more patient. What does that say about this team and what it could be moving forward?
Just like you said, we got better each quarter as it went, and I think that speaks to what our team did this year. We got each better as the season continued to get deeper and we played more and more games. We got better as it went on. So I think that just speaks to what we've done all season. We were able to calm down. We have a lot of faces that have been here for the first time. I mean, this is my first time actually playing in the NCAA myself, so I think we had a lot of faces who had never been here before, and it's a really big stage, so we just took a little too long to get situated and play our game.
We have time for a few more questions. Our next one comes from Noah Monroe. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Steph. Noah Minner from the Daily Tar Heel again. You played so long in the NCAA. What advice from all those years that you've played would you give to your younger teammates to help them succeed?
Make the most of it. I mean, I've been here forever, and it still went by quick. Make the most of it. Give your all every single day, and that doesn't just mean on game days. That means practice. Make the most of your experience. You have all the resources you could possibly need around you. So much knowledge, so much resources, facilities. Like, take it all in and use everything you can to just get as best as you can be. And, I want Carolina to get back on track, so I'll encourage the freshmen to just keep taking it all in, keep getting better every single day so that they're not at this moment, after the first round.
Our next question comes from R.L. Bynum. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hey, Stephanie, could you talk about your years with Janelle? I mean, you both had really good games tonight. Now, obviously, you remember that big win over Notre Dame, but talk about your career with Janelle, playing beside her.
Janelle's someone you want on your team. She's just got that competitive spirit. You want her on your team no matter where you're. If you're at the park choosing up a game, you want Janelle on your team. So she's a competitor. She's a fighter. She's just not going to hang her head down no matter what the circumstances are. So I think she just brings that to wherever she's at, whatever team she's on. She's gonna just have that competitive spirit. We're not losing spirit, and she brings that every single day. So we've had some great memories and some great games together, but she's just someone always that's fun to play with.
RL, go ahead.
I appreciate it, Stephanie. That was it.
Do we have any additional questions? Seeing none at this time, thank you very much for your time today. Congratulations on a great season and good luck. That's it for this post-game news press conference. A recording of this press conference will be posted in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Thank you for joining us.